Crittenden marker. We are so pleased to have this crowd here today.
Hope, mark time, right face, present the color, present arm. Present arm. Order. Arm. Shoulder, arm. Right face. Forward, mark.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer, the children are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. And by hard times come a-knocking at my door, then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for my old Kentucky home, for my old Kentucky home far away.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, the skies have cleared, and it's appropriate, I think, for what we're doing here today. I know I was one of the many, I think, in our community who didn't know a lot about the Camp Crittenden story, but it's really a fascinating story. And for me to learn about it, it was pretty moving to know that we had Camp Crittenden right here in our community, not on this spot, but in our community, where 2,000 African American soldiers from all over Kentucky came to be trained to help fight against slavery. I just think that's such a remarkable part of our history that so few of us know about. So hopefully this celebration today and this marker being dedicated will help spread the word in our community of what a significant event this was. Most of those 2,000 African Americans were former slaves, and I understand over 800 of those people have their remains at rest here in this cemetery. So what a significant event for this part of the state relative to the Civil War and relative to Kentucky. So I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be here and say a few brief words about it. And thank you for inviting our governor. And our governor, because of his busy schedule, could not make it here today. So he has asked that I read a letter from Governor Beshear to you and to this community. So that's what I'm going to do. Dear friends, on behalf of the Commonwealth, it is my great pleasure to join the people of Lebanon and surrounding communities in recognizing the 150th anniversary of Camp Crittenden and its contributions during our nation's Civil War. I regret that my schedule did not permit me to be with you today for the unveiling and dedication of the state's historical marker, but please know that I am with you in spirit. The sacrifices of these men, who served alongside thousands of others, helped to change the face of America. Camp Crittenden was the nation's third largest recruiting camp for the Union Army, and according to a New York Times article in 1865, more black soldiers enlisted in Kentucky than in any other state. As we mark the 150-year remembrance of our nation's Civil War, we commemorate today those of Camp Crittenden who fought for their freedom and served nobly with the Union on behalf of us all. May their memory live on. Sincerely, Stephen L. Beshear. So those words, I think, mean a lot. Again, let's try to spread the word about what Camp Crittenden meant to our history and the significance. It's awesome to me, and I'd like for other people to learn more about it also, and hopefully this will help today. Thank you again for allowing me to be here, and we'll carry on with the rest of the celebration.
I kind of have a confession to make. Like Terry, I've lived in this community my whole life, and I never realized that Camp Crittenden was in our own hometown here. And the understanding of who is in this cemetery makes me understand how important it is to educate the youth of our community so they can be proud of their ancestors. A few years ago, I went to Washington, D.C. and visited Arlington Cemetery. It's something I'll never forget. The National Cemetery here also gives you the feeling of pride and honor for those that have fought for us. I would like to see our youth visit this facility a lot more. It's something that we should be proud of. We should carry on with our youth. By doing so, maybe they will gain some respect and pride for those who fought for us, for our freedom. And thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it.
Well, let me also, my name's Scott Alvey. I'm with the Kentucky Historical Society. And let me also extend my sincere appreciation on behalf of the Historical Society and myself for your participation here today. When we were walking around actually looking to where to put the cover under the marker, always makes me feel really great to see how many people come out to participate in the unveilings of these markers. There are some 2,000 markers around the state, and it's always really interesting because we put the markers up, and I'm sure that you've seen them around the state, and you drive by them, and they might cause you to stop and think a little bit about what those markers mean. But some of the comments here today even remind me that those markers are really about you all. It's about a moment for the community to recognize what has happened here and to commemorate, and not just that, but some of the chaplain's words also remind us that it's not just a series of things that happened in the past, but it's part of our challenges and opportunities that we have going forward as a community. So thank you all very much. I forgot my list of folks to thank, but I do want to make sure I mention that this was made possible through a transportation enhancement project that was part of our Civil War sesquicentennial celebration. And so the Department of Transportation also helped us with in partnership with providing the markers. So thank you all very much for being here today, and enjoy the celebration.
How's everybody doing today?
Very well.
All right. First, I'd like to thank my leadership for picking me to come out here and speak to y'all. It's kind of short notice, but I am thankful that I was selected to come out here. All right. A little bit about me. My name is Captain Robert Ali, and I'm stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky. I'm the headquarters detachment garrison commander for Fort Knox. So I've been on duty for about a year. All right, so it's an honor for me to be here with you for this historical event. The historical marker number 2226 in Frankfort calls to remember the only monument in the state that honors African American Kentuckians who served in the U.S. colored troops at Camp Crittenden, located in Lebanon during the Civil War until today. So today we are unveiling the historical marker to recognize Camp Crittenden. It was one of the largest Union Army recruiting stations in the U.S. for African American soldiers. Some of you may not know, but Fort Knox is the home to the U.S. Army recruiting headquarters, so this is really a big deal. Local historian Nash Hayes spent more than 40 years compiling info about Lebanon, Marion County, and the Civil War, which includes black soldiers who are mostly a forgotten part of the story. As the gentleman mentioned earlier, Kentucky was the last state to allow African American soldiers to enlist. Even so, nearly 30,000 black soldiers enlisted in Kentucky, which is more than any other state. The black soldiers that enlisted at Camp Crittenden were treated unfairly. The camp was located where Lebanon Trade Center stands today. And through tireless efforts that have been made by the community and through the Kentucky Historical Society, the Kentucky Department of Transportation, and the Kentucky African American Heritage Commission, we're able to pay honor to the historical site. So again, thank you for joining us today and allowing me to be part of this ceremony. Thank you.
On behalf of the Camp Nelson Preservation and Education Foundation, it is an honor and privilege to be here today. Thought I would just mention a little bit about forgotten heroes, and I won't be long. On March 5th, 1770, Crispus Attucks, an African American, died during the Boston Massacre. Estimates are that somewhere between 5,000 and 8,000 African Americans served in the Continental Army. However, in 1792, Congress enacted a law preventing black service in the United States Army. Following the April 12, 1861 attack on Fort Sumter, President Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers. Among the first to answer the call were the Washington Artillerists from Pottsville, Pennsylvania. This militia unit included 65-year-old Nicholas Biddle, an African American who was prohibited by law from being an actual member of the group. While traveling through Baltimore, Maryland on their way to defend Washington, D.C., the group had to detrain. Mob hostilities broke out, and Nicholas Biddle was a primary target. He was struck in the head by a brick, knocking him to the ground and cutting him to the bone. He was the first casualty of the American Civil War. It is ironic that the first casualties in America's two most defining wars were disenfranchised African Americans, and whose names are not often counted among our nation's heroes. We are here today to honor and immortalize over 2,000 African American heroes, most of whom were slaves that enlisted in the Union Army at Lebanon. I call them heroes because of the obstacles they overcame to enlist and for their service as soldiers. Consider that 15 men were beaten. 2 men in this county had their left ears cut off, nailed to trees as an example for other African Americans that tried to enlist. Yet against this backdrop, it is amazing that so many came. They came chasing the American ideal of freedom and equality for all. They came not just for themselves, but for their families and the millions that would follow. It falls to those of us that stand on the shoulders of these brave men and enjoy the freedoms and liberties that they so desired to ensure that their contributions are not forgotten. These are some of our forgotten heroes. Thank you.
Thank you all again for coming out today. It's been such a moving ceremony. And thank you, Mr. Bell, for the reminder of really why we're here today. I want to thank everyone who made this event happen, especially the Kentucky Historical Society, the Kentucky Department of Transportation, the staff of this beautiful grounds of this National Cemetery, along with all of our local elected officials, Camp Crittenden's brother, Camp Nelson, Mr. Robert Bell, Captain Ali of the United States Army, who stands with us in commemorating the lives of these soldiers and their officers. I'm so appreciative and moved by my fellow cast members of the Stephen Foster story to come out today to help. To our local veteran color guard who are always faithful to serve our community in so many ways. For our reenactors, our local reenactors who come out and celebrate. And to you, Mr. Johnson, thank you for sharing your gift. I'm deeply thankful for the dedication of Stuart Sanders and Roger Stapleton. These men kept this camp in the forefront in ensuring that they would be remembered in such a special way. Patricia Brenner and her support and leadership of the Kentucky African American Heritage Commission. Events like today help us to continue to honor our fellow Kentuckians who helped pave the way for us all. I thank the City of Lebanon and the Human Rights Commission and its subcommittee, especially the work of Kim Bell and George Ford, who helped in bringing Camp Crittenden to the minds in our local community. As I conclude, I ask each of you to look upon the lives and sacrifices of these men and the bravery they shown at this time when we African Americans was considered less than humans, nor citizens of these United States. In spite of all, they still fought for the ideas and the right to be free and to be a part of this great nation. So I leave with you this thought by the words of our great President John F. Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So as we conclude this celebration today, I ask everyone to go out to the actual unveiling, which is outside on Highway 208. And thank you all so much for coming.
Ha